On today's Hashi, I'm discussing the July PCE report, housing inventory for the week, and pending home sales. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. I'm Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Welcome into the Hashi, kicking off this week on a Tuesday after the Labor Day holiday. I hope everybody had a great weekend and got everything out of it that you had hoped for. If you get value out of the hot sheet each and every single week, as it is the only live housing show on the internet Monday through Thursday, which and when the markets are open, then go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, share this with somebody who would get some value out of a 24-hour look back on housing. Let me know which market you're tuning in from. I'm here in my Connecticut office today. Glad to see so many of you guys jumping in, ready for a new week and a new month as we are into September. 5 months remain for 2024. Let's get into topic number one, which is recapping news from Friday. The news on Friday was all about the PCE, the July PCE report on inflation. This is the Fed's favorite target, inflation metric, rather, and the one that they use and consider the most as they move down towards their 2% target. PCE came in in July on 0.2%, and the big news is that was as expected. Remember, on Friday, the stocks reacted positively towards this news. Okay. Inflation did edge higher as it moved up 0.2%, but again, meeting expectations. When we look at the same period from a year ago, that was up only 2.5%. Remember, we're just trying to get to a target here of 2%. Excluding volatile food and energy prices, core PCE also increased 0.2%, just like the personal consumption expenditures. That one was up 2.6 from a year ago, but softer than a 2.7 estimate. That's great news. Fed officials tend to focus more on the core reading as a better gauge of long-run trends. Both core and headline inflation on a 12-month basis were the same as in June. Core prices less housing. This is pretty interesting. Increased just 0.1% on the month. So when you extract housing, it goes from 0.2 to 0.1. Housing making up basically 50% of the inflation on the PCE. As other inflation components ease, shelter has proven to be stubborn, again rising 0.4% in July, according to this report that we saw on Friday. Okay, so there's your overall breakdown. That's good news as we lead into now 15 days away from the FOMC meeting. Some other headlines out of the report: personal income increased $75.1 billion, 0.3% at a monthly rate in July. And disposable personal income, less personal current taxes, increased $54.8 billion, also 0.3%. Again, the PCE increased $103.8 billion, which is 0.5%. PCE index, the price index that we just looked at, was the 0.2% increase. And here's your table down below on all of those numbers, looking from month to month. So personal income month over month, 0.2 to 0.3. Disposable personal income, 0.1 in June, now 0.3 on current dollars. And there you go. That's your report on PC. Big news is the market liked it. We like it when the market likes it. Okay, that's a good thing. CME is still saying, as we are now 15 days, 4 hours and 25 minutes from the next FOMC meeting. Okay, there you go. It's right down to the hour. They've got it. Still saying that there is a more likely chance of a quarter point cut here on this September meeting. 67% versus 33% when they're looking at quarter versus half point. Still considerable chance that there is a half point cut. 100% chance, of course, that the Fed will cut, and that is the same that Jerome Powell is saying in Jackson Hole, of course. All right, let's get into our update for inventory on the week. We do this to kick off each and every single week. Obviously, today being a Tuesday versus a Monday. Let's take a look at the big news on active inventory across the country. This is, of course, is using Altos Research. Altos Research takes active inventory as just the homes available. They don't do the NAR approach, which includes pending sales. When this metric of active inventory that we look at here at the beginning of the week each week is just active listings across the country. No pendings included in this number. Active listings, active inventory, that is, for the week last week saw a decline. This is the first decline we've seen all year. We dropped down from 704,700 plus to 704,335. So really, you could call that flat. We're talking about hundreds of homes in a economy that has 300 plus million people. We're not talking about a huge shift in inventory, but I was very hopeful that we could continue this increase that we had been getting in August and September, right? We talked about last or a normal market, say 2019. I like to look at 2019 as a normal market. August was very flat. We were still on the increase in August. Now we have started to flatten out in September, which means that the seasonal decline is likely upon us. You can look at every normal market, take 2020 out of it, and because there was a steep incline or decline much earlier in the year, just based on the dynamics of how 2020 and 22 and 23 were odd because we were still coming out of the pandemic. So you have, or 21 and 22 rather. So you've got weird data recently, but if you go and look at just 20 years of data, you'll see that this time of year, we consistently start to slowly drop off on active inventory. This is the first signal that's probably going to be true again this year. Timing, I was hopeful that we'd see inventory continue to climb throughout September. It was going to get tested in October, obviously, with the November election and a lot of reasons why you'd probably see some inventory, especially new listings. We're going to take a look at new listings, maybe hold back off the market. But anyways, we're 38% more than last year. So that's a good thing. We've made a lot of progress this year on active inventory. 38% more than last year is great news. Last year, of course, was a really low level. 2022 was the all-time inventory bottom. We hit 240,000 at one point in 2022. So we've recovered from that all-time low, considerably, now up over 700,000. If just for context, if you look at the beginning of 2020, which was before pandemic, the beginning of 2020 was 736,000 on active inventory. We're at 704,000 right now. I get it. January 1 and September 3 are two different periods of time in the market. Totally get that. But the point is, we've come a long way on inventory. Last week, of course, being the peak, this week being the first decline. Same time in 2019, we had 963,000. So about a little bit more than 250,000 more in 2019 at the same time than we have today. Just depending on what happens, really, I would say depending on how low rates go next year, we could count on this number hopefully continuing to improve. But we are running a long-term problem on inventory. Jerome Powell points to that. And Jerome Powell loves to point that out as even pre-2020 having long-term issues with inventory for residential real estate. He likes to take the heat off of himself and point that out, but he's not wrong when he does point that out. New listings. This number, I think, is probably, hopefully, more due to the holiday than anything else. You see this on holiday weeks. You see it on the holiday week leading up, and sometimes you see it on the week after the holidays. Remember, you had still, especially in the North, you had people getting back to school last week. You have people getting back to school this week. There are a lot of distractions. End of the summer holiday, Labor Day weekend holidays, all of that going on that can impact these numbers. But new listings matched last year's same week for new listings, 59,000 plus and 59,000 plus last year. 2022, we only had 63,000. Matching anything from last year is bad news because last year was the lowest level ever recorded on new listing data. Okay, so we don't like matching last year's level. We want to stay as far away from last year's level as possible. I get it. We're in the traditional seasonal decline right now. New listings, if they were skyrocketing up, that would actually be a red flag to, are we in trouble here? Is that, recession talk that we had a couple weeks ago? Like, is it knocking on the door? Is it right around the corner? If we saw a spike, so I wouldn't expect a spike, but I just want to outpace 2023 at all moments in time because it was the lowest level. Now, this year, just to be fair, this year was the second lowest new listing year recorded in history. So if last year was the lowest or the worst for new listings, this was the second worst. This wasn't an impressive number of new listings. And now, again, we're on the other side of Labor Day. We're going to see a decline. How many NFL fans want to have open houses on Sunday? I can promise you, not many of them with the NFL kicking off in a couple of days. You will see less new listings for a variety of reasons. People who've got kids back in school, that they've got less motivation right now to have their home on the market. If you've got kids going back to school right now, you don't want to couple that with showings and all of that. Totally. Time frame is usually, later, end of the school year going into the summer if they're going to switch, right? So you've got that going on. You do have the fall football thing. I think that was more a little bit tongue in cheek. That's a little bit less of an issue, but you've got November election. There's going to be a pause. Let's see what happens. Not a political statement, just a common sense statement. Let's see what happens in November and see how the economy responds. No matter who wins, typically you see a bump in the stock market initially off of after the election because there's certainty. The market's like, we know now who it's going to be over the next 4 years. So there's more certainty after November than the next 60 days. That's something that sellers will obviously be considering. And then you just got holidays, winter sales numbers come in lower, all of that. So we're at that time of year now where you're just going to see less listings. Keep in mind, for especially agents, keep in mind, second lowest level ever recorded on new listings. Now going into the 6-month time frame, September, October, November, December, January, where there will be even less listings available. There is a little bit of a grind it out mentality that agents will need to have over the next 6 months because we're operating at such a low place of activity. Another reason to be rooting for half a point reduction in 15 days from now as the FOMC gets together. If we can get 2 half a point reductions, I think we'll see, movement downward, continued movement downward on the 30-year. If it's a quarter point in September, that's already priced in. I don't see the 30-year moving at all. If that's the case, we would love to see what Wells Fargo said last week. Go back and look at the hot sheet from last week when I talk about Wells Fargo report. Half point on the next 2 meetings, meaning by November, full point off the Fed target. That will move things in the market. A quarter point in September already priced in. Okay. Here's the price cut percentages right now in the market on listings. We actually dipped from last week, so less people cutting the price going into the holiday, and I think that's a good thing. You had 39.3% right now. Same time frame in 22, you had 39%. and 36% same time last year. Could this, if this starts to decline here, be good news, obviously, for sellers? Means that there's been some stability. Typically, you'll see price cuts increase at this time frame, but see a little bump down here a week before the holiday. Interesting to note, anyways, as we were up over 40% there. Currently, again, at 39.3% of properties with recent price reductions. Normal market, a third of homes will reduce price before selling. Okay, pending sales right now. This is pending sales in real time across the country. We had no growth week to week. We're going to look at pending sales data from NAR here in just a second. 368,000 for this week right now. Currently, that's 2.7% more on single family homes in contract at this time than last year at 358,000. Off of the 2022 mark, up over 400,000. So again, when you've got the lowest level of new lists, second lowest year ever on new listings, coming off of the year of the lowest new listings, you've got affordability issues, got all these things. It's going to impact pending sales. Real estate's been in a recession now for over 2 years, and we know the longer you let real estate suffer, you meaning FOMC, the Fed, the longer you let this sector of the economy suffer, the worse it can be. And so really needs to be some changes here in the monetary policy, and we hope to see that obviously coming up. Mortgage spreads continuing to actually improve. Mortgage spread improvement is where we've seen most of the benefit here, not improving back to normal levels, but where we're seeing most of the improvement on the 30-year fixed. Last week we signed off on the 30-year at 6.43. We got down as low as 6.37 at one point, and the weekly came in at 6.35, lowest level in quite some time on the weekly. So 30-year fixed is trending in the right direction. I mean, say since July, we were up over 7% beginning of July, and we've really been on a consistent decline since that time frame. And hope is we'll continue to see that, and we get some obviously policy relief from the Fed leading into these next couple of meetings. Okay, pending home sales for the month of July. Okay, we're at an index according to NAR of 70.2. An index above 100 coincides with a higher level of activity relative to 2001. Okay, 2001 was not 2004. Okay, for those that remember and were active in real estate in 2004. Remember 2004, I looked at 50 homes I was shopping for a 2-family in like a 2-month time frame. I was just ripping through inventory. Okay. For those that were out there in 2004, 2001 was much different. More, before the real heat up and bubble up, more of a normal type of activity. We're not even close to that. 70.2 on the index, 100 would equal 2001 level. We're down 5.5% month over month on pending home sales. The Northeast is coming in at a 64.6, month over month, down 1.4%. The West is suffering the most at 56.2, also down 3.8% month over month. South down considerably month over month, with the highest reading at 83.5. And the Midwest is down the most at 7.8% month over month, coming in at 67.8 on the index for pending homes. Some other data here on pending home sales. All 4 regions obviously did see that decline. And in terms of, here's a quote from Lawrence Yun himself, making that salary count. In terms of home sales and prices, the New England region has performed relatively better than other regions in recent months. Current lower falling mortgage rates will no doubt bring buyers into the market. Way to go, Lawrence. Way to go. Way to throw some vanilla out there on the quote. for NAR. All right, there's your numbers. Pending home sales down. Expect deceleration on price over the next few months as the lagging data comes in. Expect pending homes to continue to go down. The next few months in real estate are going to be trying. We're into September now. The second half of this year, some people at the beginning of the year were talking about a survive till 25 mentality. It's really going to be front and center on the next 5 months. There's changes, obviously, that are taking shape in the real estate industry. It's more important now than ever for agents to really be getting into their tool bag, getting into information like this to close that knowledge gap between consumers and the professionals, so the professional can stand out, and understanding that it's going to take a different level of habits over the next 5 months to be that front and center voice in your micro community when it comes to real estate and when it comes to somebody who people look on for that information. These next 5 months are going to feel a little different than the first 5. And I think the numbers are really pointing towards that. And the more we understand that, the more we can help educate people and really help ourselves be in the right position. The position that you should be in here as we get into the Septembers and Octobers is BAM Mania, October 17th and the 18th in Las Vegas at Circa. This place has been fully renovated, I think particularly for BAM. They really did these renovations with us in mind. There's never been a real estate venue like Circa. I'm joking, obviously. They are not renovating for us, but they built Circa for an event like ours. This is going to be like no other real estate event that you've been to. Just the way they built the technology into the space so that the event is not a typical snooze fest, but something much more entertaining. BAM Mania general admission is available for October 18th. VIP gets you into the 17th and the 18th. VIP will be selling out first. Then we'll be just left with general admission. BAMmania.com to make sure you secure your ticket now. BAMmania.com. Also, if you want all of the show notes from this show, as well as all of the charts, each and every single day, we upload these into BAMX. Here are your show notes. So many of you guys are using these to just copy and paste this data and put it into your database, put it into your communications. Sign up for BAMX right now. BAMX. Also, BAMX members get 25% off of BAM Mania, so take advantage of that, BAMX members. But if you want to get into BAMX and get a discount there, use code HOT on your BAMX sign up. All right, if you're getting value from the hot sheet, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We will have a new Real Word podcast later on here on the channel. Until then, have a great day, start to your week, and of course, toodaloo.